humans, we're looking for the absolute best VR headset. I'm Maya Akhtar with our expert Scott Stein. We're going to judge these VR headsets on 5 different factors: display, immersion, ecosystem, setup, and value. Here are our 5 competitors. Oculus Quest, Oculus Rift S, HTC Vive Cosmos, Valve Index, and Sony PlayStation VR. Okay, Scott, why are these the 5? What happened to like the mobile stuff where you would have a phone in your headset?
It's all gone. The mobile phone VR thing disappeared. Gear VR, Daydream, those aren't really supported anymore, and cardboard's in the past. So if you want mobile, it's around, but it's standalone. So the stuff to go with now is really something like Oculus Quest, which is a little more expensive. It's $400. Then you got console, which is PlayStation VR, and then your choice is PC. So you got a lot of options there, but we have 3 representatives in that territory.
Our first round is display. What good is VR if it looks lousy? What are you looking for when you're talking about display, Scott?
Well, here's the thing with VR, we're not really at the point where you have a perfect display yet. Like you'd have, I want to call it retina level, but something that is where you don't see the pixels, like on a TV or a phone.
Okay.
On these, you're all going to see the pixels, but it's a matter of how fine the resolution gets, which it can get pretty good. And also you want the field of view, which is the viewing area, to feel as expansive as possible. It can go from like a porthole feeling to kind of out to almost here. And that's about it right now when it comes to VR displays.
All right, so how did our competitors fare?
Well, the newer, the better generally. So, the PlayStation VR, which is from 2016, that does not have a great display. That's an older, it's functional, but it's just not spectacular. Stepping up from there, you've got, I would say the Oculus Rift S and the Quest have pretty similar resolutions, but the Quest looks better and is more surprising because it's mobile. So I feel like that's pretty nice. On PC, this is fine. Cosmos is a little bit better, and the top end for field of view and resolution is the Valve Index. If you want the super nice sports car of VR, you're gonna have to pay for it.
So the winner of this round is the Valve Index. Let's explain why our expert is Scott Stein. Why is he the best when it comes to VR headsets? This is why.
Scott Stein is an editor-at-large for CNET. He's been with the company for over a decade. Scott looks at tech that borders on magical, which is great since he's a magician. At CNET, Scott takes on emerging tech, future tech, and devices that push beyond existing categories. You can also frequently find him with a virtual reality headset on his face. He's been lucky enough to try them all. Outside of work, he really loves immersive theater as well.
Scott, you got a good head on your shoulders there, buddy.
Hey, I better to test VR headsets.
Let's go to round 2, and that is immersion. Scott, could you define that for us, please?
Sure. I mean, everything in VR is immersive, but what I'm referring to here are particularly 2 different things. How the VR headset tracks your room and your space in your hands, and also how good are the controllers. In VR, the first headsets in 2016, they used external cameras and tracking. They almost all did. And the PlayStation VR does that still. The Vive did that, and the Oculus Rift did that. Now, the Valve Index still uses external trackers as well, but most VR uses built-in cameras in the headset to track without those sensors needed. That's the Oculus Quest, the Oculus Rift S, and the HTC Vive Cosmos. So it's great to have that built-in headset tracking, but people who really want the most precise holodeck feel still do like the idea of setting up little base stations in their house for flexibility. So there is a market that likes that, so not everyone's gonna be into that. The other thing is controls. So again, PlayStation VR coming in at the bottom because they're using really ancient PlayStation Move controllers. You could also use a DualShock 4, but I mean, this thing has a trigger, it's got a button. This is for the light tracking, to know where your hand's going. It's great that it works, but I wouldn't really recommend it.
This seems so antiquated now.
Yeah, I mean, it's functional, but it's just like, I wish they would make a really good controller. The best ones now that have been refined for a bunch of years are Oculus's. The touch controllers, they have a new variation with the new headsets, are small. They have a great combination of finger tracking and discrete buttons. You could play a variety of different games with this. Sometimes it feels like you're moving your hands. Sometimes it feels like you're playing a traditional game. Super flexible, they're great. Now, HTC Vive copied that kind of with the Cosmos. Sort of similar idea, but with Steam VR, you have so many different options. You don't have to do this, so kind of fragments a bit. The most experimental, the wildest one, the Valve Index controller, super crazy, and it tracks all of your fingers, so you could do like real kind of hand tracking stuff with this. But I'm not sure I'm wild about the design.
It's a bit much.
It's a bit much. You don't have to opt into this. You could pick another controller with Steam VR. It's flexible, but I still feel like I prefer the Oculus Touch for its across-the-board function. And by the way, immersion also includes audio. I didn't even mention that. These all work with plugging in your own headphones, but some of them have better built-in audio than others. Oculus uses this piped-in internal audio, which is PlayStation doesn't even have that. You have to plug in headphones. The Vive Cosmos has some better headphones built in. The very best audio built in is the Valve Index. The audio here is spectacular.
So when it comes to immersion, who do we have as a winner?
For the ease and self-contained immersion, I go with Quest because, again, the fact that it works like that anywhere and pulls you in is pretty great, even though hardcore VR people might appreciate Index.
So the winner here is the Oculus Quest. On to our third round, ecosystem, as in what software does it work with? When we're looking at these headsets, which one is the most robust?
Well, you're all going to be stuck in different software ecosystems. So that's a challenge with VR because there is no universal platform. With Quest and with PlayStation VR, you're basically in your own really curated software ecosystem. PlayStation is completely contained to the PlayStation 4, so it's a game console. A lot of great games, but basically that's it. The Quest plays its own game library, but it does connect with the USB-C cable to a PC, so it can act as a PC VR headset. It's just not going to be your best PC VR headset, but surprisingly, it's pretty functional. Then you got the PC ones. They also kind of live in different ecosystems a little bit. The Rift S is like a game console in the way that Oculus presents all that software. Pretty easy to get into. Also plays with Valve's Steam VR, but it's more limited in the way that if you're a creator and using extra tools. If you're a creator, you build things in VR, you want to think about experimenting more in VR. Steam VR is super flexible. Actually Cosmos and Valve Index are part of that same hardware ecosystem. So you could trade parts with these, base stations and can use one controller with the other. I think that the Valve Index is a little more particular because you need to have those base stations. This one, you could pick self-contained or have those other base stations for tracking.
Do these all play the same games?
You know, a lot of the games will carry over from system to system. Like if you want to play Beat Saber, you can play them everywhere. But these consoles and these platforms do have their own exclusives. So for instance, on Oculus Quest or the Oculus platform, you can play Vader Immortal, which is the big lightsaber Star Wars saga that Lucasfilm made. PlayStation has some great exclusive games like Blood and Truth or Astrobot Rescue Mission, and they have a building library. And then Valve, you've got Half-Life Alyx, which is coming out, which could be one of the biggest VR games that has ever existed, and they're definitely touting that. But know that from a lot of the others, you can play them on a lot of the different platforms.
So who do you got as the winner?
So I think the Steam VR stuff is the most flexible with the ecosystem. Most options, a little more fiddly to set up.
So the Valve Index wins again, but it shares a victory in this round with the HTC Vive Cosmos. The PlayStation VR is in last place because it's just PlayStation. Let's look at setup. I think I have a feeling which one's going to win for ease of setup. Let's figure out who the runners-up are, assuming I'm correct about the winner.
Sure. Well, PC stuff is the most complicated for setup. Sorry, it's true. It's a project, and some people like projects, but between the Steam VR stuff, especially Valve Index, you need those external lighthouse stations, so you got to set up stuff in your house still, or your room. The self-contained inside-out tracking with the cameras built in, which is the way VR is going, that's on the Vive Cosmos. But you could also play with this if you want, so it's still kind of in between. This is easier because it's all self-contained with the Rift S. PlayStation VR is easy because it's a game console, sort of, but it's using a little old cable-y stuff. The easiest, absolutely, is Oculus Quest, because this is it. You just put this on, you can set it up in seconds, and that makes a big difference if you're trying to set up in demo sign, or just play sign.
So the winner is the Oculus Quest?
Oculus Quest.
The Steam-based VR headsets sit together in the cellar since there are a lot of things going on with them. Let's go to our final round, and that is value. Now, value isn't just the price, it's the experience for the money. Which one offers the best value, Scott?
These are all a little more expensive than you'd want to pay for VR, but that's kind of the way it is right now, because the days of the Gear VR and those $100 throw-ins are gone. You could get a $300 PlayStation VR, so technically that'd be the lowest price, but then you also have to have a PlayStation 4. So all-in stuff plus getting the controllers, I don't know if it comes bundled or not. It may cost a bit more. If you get this on sale, good value. The next step up, that's consistently the best value for the self-contained element. Quest, $400 all in. That's expensive, but you don't have to get anything else. And that's, you're good to go. For the PC stuff, you gotta have a PC that's VR compatible, make sure it's got the right graphics card. $400 for the Oculus Rift S, that's pretty decent. $700 for the Vive Cosmos. This can go up to $1,000 Valve Index. It depends if you have all the other previous parts. Just the headset's $500, then it goes up to $1,000. It includes Half-Life Alyx, but that's a lot of money.
That's $1,000.
That is a lot of money. Yeah, you gotta really love living in VR.
All right, so who do we got as the winner for this one?
Oculus Quest.
The winner of this round is the Oculus Quest. It works with your PC too. PSVR is close behind it, depending if you get it on sale. After all 5 rounds of competition, the best VR headset is the Oculus Quest. Let's recap. Here's what makes the Quest the winner. The setup is simple. Its visuals and interaction are spectacular. The library of software keeps growing, and it can connect to your PC. Now, Scott, you got anything you want to add about this?
Yes, don't come complaining to me if things change in even just a few months. This is a rapidly changing landscape, so I want to warn you, this is for enjoying now. Will there be new versions of these headsets? Look, these are all clunky and prototypey. They're going to start getting smaller, and they may have ones that plug directly into your phone and are cheaper. I think the Quest is great. Will there be a new version? Very likely. And will these start feeling more refined down the road? Will Sony have a new PlayStation VR? Yeah, when? We don't know, but this stuff is going to keep changing.
Thank you to Scott and to you great viewers. Let us know what you think of the results. We love hearing from you. From all of us here, we wish you the best.